You want people in their 50s that have buying power. And that's not just for housing. That's for all industries. That's for our economy, to keep our economy growing. This is another reason I argue for younger politicians who have more of a stake in the future. Like Biden and Trump, they're going to be dead in 10 years. Like that sounds crazy, but like that's who ran for president, right? So I'm looking at people, I want somebody who's maybe a little bit younger to come in and say, hey, what do we need to do to make sure that our country and our young people are set up for the future? And our generation, I'm going to challenge them. What are you doing to set up the generation behind you? Because we're going to be left with a mess. $35 trillion of debt, 30, home buyers who are having to work, first-time home buyers at 35 who are now going to have to work longer and longer. That means if you stay in your mortgage for 30 years, you won't have that mortgage paid off until you're 65. That's retirement age.
Right.
That's retirement age.
Right.
So, and here's what I think about and why I do kind of like these LLPAs. I'm sorry to all my investor friends out there and my second home buyers and all those folks, but at the end of the day, I like this. To an extent, I hate that the government and the Fed and everybody and has a FHFA has a hand in this, and it's not truly a free market. But I also think it's good to have some regulation here, because if you're a first time home buyer at 35 years old, right, and we'll say that you stay in that house for 7 years, you're buying your second home at 43. A majority of people are getting a 30-year mortgage,
right?
You won't pay that home off until you're 73 years old.
Right.
So are you working till you're 73, or are you retiring and allowing your Social Security and your retirement to pay for that expense? When you go to retire, folks, you want your home paid off. Unless you have a portfolio of investment properties where you're cash flowing more and so on. Like, there's situations maybe you don't want your home paid off. I know me personally, my home will be paid off. Right. So, it is, I think it's a good thing. I don't think it's a perfect solution. I do believe in incentivizing. This is a situation where I kind of like the regulation. And, we're on the forefront of the industry and everything we're doing and our knowledge. So we're going to be able to go out and help that first-time home buyer a lot better than others, because other people, that's just a job to them. This ain't just a job to me. I really am passionate about what I do, and so are you. So, I'm okay with the changes. Do I think they're perfect? Nothing's perfect.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Except for Jesus.
But I just more wanted you to touch on the other side of it too, because it is, there's a lot of negative news out there about it. A lot of people, articles are bashing it, saying, oh, it's terrible, it's this and that. And it has its faults, downsides, but I think you have to do something. You have to get people to buy homes, especially first-time home buyers.
Is the news ever positive?
Well, that's true.
It's fear-mongering.
Right.
Straight up. That's what it is. It's fear-mongering. Listen, is it perfect? Does it incentivize people who have a lower credit score and less down payment? It's a riskier client. It does. It does incentivize that.
Right.
But at some point, maybe they have a lower credit score and they're a riskier client because they've been blocked from getting in to a purchase earlier in their lives.
I agree. And that's my thoughts on it, is you have to do something. To help the first-time home buyers to generate that, because I mean, for your example, we want people when they're later in life to have that spending power to generate our economy, to keep our economy moving. Spending moves the economy.
Right.
It does. It's what generates. Is how businesses make money to pay their employees.
Well, with the amount of debt that we have to pay interest on too as a country, we need the economy to continue to expand.
Yeah, we really do.
And we're a pretty dang big economy as it is. But we really need the economy to continue to expand.
We really do. Yeah. So, but going off of that, what was I going to say?
That you're a first-time home buyer.
Right.
No, you're not.
No.
Why are you lying to the people, man?
I'm not a first-time home buyer. What do you mean?
Get to your next point, Benny. And while we're doing that, let me just say this. Hey, TikTok, this is for you. You guys were all mad at me about the rent control and how I think that the rent control is a terrible idea. Well, I am going to actually type out a long review of the Biden administration rent control, and I'm going to put it on my LinkedIn and on NBI Financial Group's Twitter page. And Elon Musk just did a cool thing where you can type a bunch of words on Twitter now. It's not 140 characters or 280. Like, I don't know if they're doing that on purpose, but let me tell you this. You're going to now be able to see my thoughts on why rent control is a terrible idea. Ben, what do you got?
So what I was getting into is part of like the concern out there and why, and like you brought up too, like the risk of it, there is risk to it, is because, and we bring up like, this is nothing like 2008. People, we cannot get into a point where we have issues with the secondary market that are going to cause another 2008.
Nope.
And how does that happen? By basically by going to fraudulent loans or going to buy high risk loans, that are going to affect the bond market and going to affect the stability of markets, because bonds are stable, right? Unless you have a bunch of fraudulent or bad things in there. Affecting the price in the LLPAs do affect that. So you really have two different options here to look at. You can either affect the price, and that's what they're doing now, is they're just rebalancing the numbers to try to benefit first-time home buyers. Or you can look at lightening up some requirements for underwriting, things like that, that would allow them to qualify more or more easily or for a higher amount.
Which they're not going to do in this environment.
Exactly. And that's my thing, is you have to do something. I don't think there's much risk because they are not changing that. Those requirements are staying in place. I don't see much change in the fall through rate. There might be a little bit of difference in the back end of things with the numbers, but it's not going to cause another 2008. And they're probably going to tweak it again. They'll make it right. But you have to do something. You have to do something.
We have to try something, because 35 is way too old for the first time home buyer.
Right.
It's way too, like, just, it's not a good financial thing. And get mad at me, TikTok. It's not smart to buy your first home at 35. You need to do whatever you can. It's like people who start investing in their 401k when they're 21 and just, coming out of college. Like, start investing young. Like, everyday millionaires, they're made all the time in this country.
Absolutely.
It's just, I'm with you. I think it's a great thing. I think they have to roll it out. I think they're going to make tweaks to it. And when we're going into a recessionary type of economy, underwriting restrictions are not going to loosen up. They're going to tighten up.
Right.
So,
right. No, I completely agree. All right. So this is a good time to remind people to hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, like this video, and leave a comment. You know what you need to leave your in the comment? Your Instagram handle. That way we can reach out to you with a drawing for a $100 Amazon gift card that is happening on St. Patty's Day. And while you're at it, go ahead and follow us on all social media. That is Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, Rumble.
Yes. And my favorite's YouTube. So follow us on YouTube, because that's where we do our giveaways.
Absolutely. No, you love people on TikTok. Don't
No, I hate TikTok.
Don't give me
We
that.
just get the most attention.
That's your favorite. That's your favorite.
I love TikTok. I am kidding. Real quick, before you move on to the next topic, I just want to say I appreciate your thoughts on the LLPAs. And for people who think that we don't know what we're talking about, Ben's probably in the top 10% of most qualified individuals in the entire industry to speak on this, because of your extensive underwriting background, what you had to do as a living as far as solution underwriting and things of that nature. And we have another one that works with us as well who does the same type of thing as you, Sarah Crespo, who's just as qualified. And I'm sure you two have spoken about this.
She's more qualified than me. I'll say that.
And we have somebody else that we're probably bringing in who's just as qualified as that.
Absolutely.
It's so funny that people on TikTok say that I'm lying through my teeth when I'm saying stuff like this. No. I don't get as detail oriented as you, because that's just not my personality. But I will say that if I have, and you'll vouch for the stuff I'm saying, there's a lot of data driven opinions of mine, and my opinions are generally data driven, just because I don't get into the nitty gritty like you do.
Right.
I know what the data is.
Right.
So, I'm not lying. I have no reason to lie. I'm not even telling you to do business with us. I'm saying you need to look into this for yourself.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing is, and we keep saying, and I've said this about a dozen times, like, we present options to you. We're giving our opinions on this. There's two sides to it. I mean, just in that one.
The right side, which is us, and then the wrong side.
Well, we think it's a good side, but we acknowledge that there is risk on the other side.
You're either right or you're wrong.
Right. I mean, people don't want to risk potentially having another 2008 to potentially.
Do you want to know where you get your greatest reward?
Have an issue with the bond market because I mean, we mentioned before how well off we are, how much of a benefit it is having the 30-year mortgage. If something happens to the bond market that takes that away, like,
it's the whole country that's screwed. It's not just the housing. And that's why I'm okay with the risk. And here's the other piece.
But
you get your greatest success, your greatest stories, you get your greatest experiences in life. And normally the story will start something like this. I took this risk.